Hello, friends. This Gulf War, started by the US and Israel, has now reached India's doorstep. It was the morning of March 4th. An Iranian warship was sailing in the Indian Ocean about 40 nautical miles from the city of Gal, Sri Lanka. Just 2 weeks ago, this ship was returning from participating in the Milan 2026 exercise with the Indian Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, the contingent from Iran. The Indian Navy itself had welcomed it with the hashtags of bridges and friendship. But this morning, America had its eyes on it. A US Navy submarine attacked the ship with an Mk-48 torpedo, and within seconds, the ship sank into the sea. 87 Iranian soldiers are killed. The Sri Lankan Navy rescues 32 survivors. And what does India do? Nothing. The BJP's official account tweets, "Not our business. We have nothing to do with this." This story isn't just about the sinking of a ship, but about how India's foreign policy is deteriorating, how the country is repeatedly humiliated, and how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has fired missiles at US military bases, yet has surrendered to Israel. First, let's understand the context of how far this war has reached. Iran's capital, Tehran, and all major cities have been attacked. American forces have bombed more than 2,000 targets in Iran, and almost every corner of Iran has been bombed. On the other hand, Iran is also not sitting idle. In the Middle East, most of these attacks have been intercepted. But smoke was seen billowing from the headquarters of US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, the center of US naval operations in the Middle East. 3 US fighter jets crashed in Kuwait, attributed to friendly fire, and 2 drones directly hit the US embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. At least 6 American soldiers have been killed in Iranian attacks. In Israel, Iranian strikes damaged more than 40 buildings in Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, US-Israeli strikes have killed more than 1,000 people in Iran. 9 people have been killed in Iran's attacks. The US and Israel hoped that Iran would quickly surrender after the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But that didn't happen. Instead, the war is spreading to new areas. Lebanon's Hezbollah, an Iranian ally, has also joined the war. Furthermore, the most feared scenario is happening. Iran has blocked the world's most important oil route, the Strait of Hormuz, and has threatened to fire on any ship passing through. 20% of the world's total oil consumption passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And remember this because this is a major nightmare for India. I'll discuss this later in the video. But first, understand the full story of Aris Dana. The deeper you delve into this story, the more disturbing it becomes. This was no random warship. The Aris Dana, a flagship of the Indian Navy, was returning to Iran after participating in the multinational exercise Milan 2026. The Indian Navy's Eastern Naval Command had tweeted a welcome message on February 17th, using the hashtag Bridges of Friendship, hashtag United Through Oceans. The Iranian soldiers aboard had even marched in a parade in Visakhapatnam. Imagine 2 weeks ago, these sailors were marching shoulder to shoulder with the Indian Navy in Visakhapatnam, and 2 weeks later, the dead bodies of 87 of them were floating in the sea. The worst part is that the US sank this ship in the Indian Ocean, and not a word was said by the Indian government. Forget about it. When a distress call came from the Aris Dana, the Sri Lankan army rescued them. No one went from India. Iran's ambassador to India, Mohammad Fathali, also stated that no message was sent to Iran from India, nor was any conversation held. Are you touching the Indian side? No, we have none. We have no negotiations, we have no sensible message. The most shocking thing is that India's former Foreign Secretary, Kanwal Sibal, said that according to protocol, this ship did not carry any ammunition and was defenseless. It is also part of NATO. Yet the Spanish Prime Minister is speaking out against the US and is not allowing the US to use its military bases. The biggest question here is about the US and Israel. Under Trump, America has sunk so low that it has no respect for international law. Without any provocation, it is bombing anywhere in the world indiscriminately. It is the duty of every country in the world to raise its voice against these actions of America, and many courageous leaders around the world are doing so. Look at the Prime Minister of Spain. Spain is America's ally. Now consider the case of India. For the past decade, India has built the narrative that the Indian Ocean is India's sphere of influence. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been calling the Indian Navy the guardian of the Indian Ocean. India has declared itself the net security provider for the Indian Ocean region. India has also emerged as the first responder in the entire Indian Ocean region. So now, imagine how India is positioning itself as a security force in the Indian Ocean against smaller countries like Sri Lanka.